Hello, hello. Good afternoon. How are you, lovely?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I want everyone to know my name is Julia and I'm a sales coach. And the reason I met through business, oh my gosh, I'm going to say a year ago, more than a year ago,
Oh, yeah.
maybe,
Oh,
maybe more than a year ago. And I have the privilege of getting to know you every single week when we do our catch ups. And I feel a little bit privileged. So we've decided to do this interview today so that all of the people who follow you and who buy your beautiful jewelry, which of course I do as well, I feel like Zoom is not very good at, oh, there we go, at showcasing. Um, so we're going to do this little interview today so that everyone can get to know Iris just as well as I do. Now, we've got a couple of questions that I'm going to fire away at you, and I just want you to tell me everything you possibly can about your business and who you are. But to start with, how about you introduce yourself to everyone?
well, my name is Iris and I'm the maker and creator of inSync jewellery. I've been making jewellery for over 20 years now, but inSync design as a brand has been around for 14 years. Prior to that, I've been making contemporary jewellery, but more with traditional materials and methods. So using gold, silver, diamonds, pearls, and doing a lot of engagement rings, wedding rings and things like that. Still with very modern sort of aesthetics, but traditional materials. And about 14 years ago, there was a call out from the design centre in Melbourne, calling out local artists wanting to create a design market that was really not existent at the time. Wanting to create products for a Christmas design market in Melbourne and calling out all the members to come up with a product for that market. At the time, I was a young mum. I had a 18-month-old baby and 18-month-old, 2 years old. And she was at the process of drawing these really naive drawings of, circle, dot, dot, legs. And she was drawing lots and lots of those. And I loved it. I really loved the instant, naive, happy, colorful sort of drawings, and I wanted to replicate those. So when the call out came out, the first thing that came to my mind is like, I want to make those. And at the time I was a full-time mum, and I was with a friend of mine. We were sitting at home and getting that email, and we thought, she was a jeweler as well. We thought, why don't we make that for the market? Just something along that line. So we took out my daughter's IKEA paper roll and her crayons and sat on the floor, and we started doing doodles and lots of scribbles and whatever, as she would. And we came up with lots of sort of drawings, and we thought we wanted to make some brooches that would be very colorful and made out of non-precious materials, so it's more accessible price point. Because prior to that, I was working with precious materials and the price point was a lot higher. So we wanted to make it more accessible and really funky and very colorful. And at the time, which was 14 years ago, contemporary jewelry was very much gold and silver. There was not a lot of color. So we decided to go with powder coating, which was very bright. So we designed lots of drawings. And at the time, I was a stay-at-home mom. I didn't have much contact with adults at that time. And I said to my husband, why don't you take these drawings to work and show it to your colleagues and see if they like any of them? And he did. He took it to work and he came home and he goes, Iris, I'm really sorry, but no one really liked it. And just keep in mind, he's an accountant. So,
Of course.
yeah, he took it to work.
Maybe the wrong target market to check.
That's right. So then he came home and he goes, I'm really sorry, but really no one liked it. So I was like, I really have such a strong feeling about it. I'm going to do it anyway. And he goes, I wouldn't advise it, being an accountant. He goes, it's not a really good investment. And I said, I don't know. I just have a really good feeling about it. I'm going to do it anyway. And he goes, okay. So anyway, so we made 70 brooches and we took it to the design market and we sold out. We sold out one weekend. And within a week or so after, we got a phone call from the National Gallery of Victoria saying that they wanted those brooches. And we said to them, I'm sorry, but we sold out. We don't have any. And they said, you know what, we'll give you the money to create another collection. And at the time, both myself and my business partner or my friend, we were making, you know, precious jewelry, and we didn't have the time to make that collection. And they really wanted it, and they said, look, we'll finance it, we want it. And
Wow.
they did. And then we made a collection for them, and then within 6 months we were in all the top museums in Australia. It was like, oh my god, okay, it's popular. And we basically covered all states. We were in the top museums and all the craft organizations, so Craft Victoria and Craft New South Wales. We covered them. We were in all of them. And within a year, we were like, okay, we've got the top. What do we do now? So after a year, we went to our first trade show in London. We went to Top Drawer, which is sort of, it's a very famous sort of trade show in London. We went there, and we had two enormous breakthroughs. One was we were featured in a trend book that is produced once a year in Europe. Actually, it's produced all over the world, but the English one is called Mix, and they basically trend forecast the year ahead. And our work was featured as one of the forecasting for the year.
Wow.
And at the time, we had buyers from different sort of shops and galleries and museums walking around. And one of the buyers came to us and they said that they're a buyer for the V&A in London, which is like the MoMA in New York. It's like the most prestigious museum in London, in England. So they said, listen, the process is very long and your chances to be stocked are very low, but I'll take all the information. And if you hear from us within 3 months, great. If not, don't worry about it. And then we had another buyer from the V&A come across, do the same thing, pick up all the information and go away. And they said to us that the selection for the V&A takes up to 3 months, and then they send lots of buyers around, and then they go through a tier sort of pyramid process where they all come together and they choose their products, and you need to go through the tiers to get to the top to be selected. 3 months later, we got an email telling us that we were selected.
Oh,
and we were like,
goodness.
I know, it was amazing. We didn't get any other orders. That was the only order that we got. But the first order was 350 pieces to start with.
Oh,
and you're
my
talking
goodness.
handmade pieces. So we were working 7 days a week, 18-hour days, just like a sweatshop. My house was just a sweatshop just to make that order. It was insane.
Wow.
It was our biggest order to date. And yeah, we were stocked in the V&A, and it was like, shit, what happens next? So yeah, after that, we got quite a few really good orders from Europe. And then we did a few shows in Europe following that. So we did in Paris and we did in Milan. We did a few over the next 2 years, and we got stocked in the best museums in Europe. And then we thought, you know, the best thing to do is to go to America. And a few years later, I started doing the New York Design Fair. The New York Now, it's called. It's another wholesale gift fair. And I've been doing it for, I don't know, about 10 years, solid every year. And following that now, I was stocked in, I think, about approximately 7 museums worldwide, the best museums in the world. So it was like, oh my God, that's like a dream come true.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. It's been great. It's been a lovely sort of venture. And over the years, of course, we've added lots of products. It sort of evolved from brooches to then bangles, then necklaces, then earrings. So it was a lovely sort of evolution over the years. 14 years, we've accumulated a lot. And about 2 years after we started, my partner at the time left, and I sort of took over on my own. And a lot has evolved since. I've even launched another collection, which was the Pebble collection, and even a sculpture at the beginning of the pandemic. The pandemic changed a lot. Being stocked wholesale to museums, that had to change because museums were closed for a very long time. And seeing that our income was about 50% American museums, and a very large percentage of them were closed, and a lot of them will never reopen.
Wow.
I had to pivot and I had to rethink what's next. And that's what I've done. I've basically moved to online direct to consumer. It's a challenge. It's very different to what I've done to date, but it's been wonderful because you get to meet the end consumer that loves the products and collects the products. And we have had ladies that have been collecting our pieces for many, many years. So getting to know them personally and having that ongoing conversation has been beautiful. And getting those 5-star reviews that are just heartwarming. It's just wonderful. I love it.
So beautiful. So tell me about her. Tell me about that woman who loves and collects all your pieces.
There's a lot of them, but yeah, she is, I'd say 40 plus, into art and design, educated, and loves something a bit different. And I think that's what inSync gives you. It gives you these pieces that are artistic. They're not mainstream at all. And they really make a statement. And I think the thing that comes to me all the time in all the comments that I regularly get is that every time that a woman wears the piece, she gets compliments and it starts conversation. And I feel really privileged that I am sort of delivering a vehicle for that woman to create that connection and to create conversations and create friendships. And I have to admit that through inSync, I've created amazing friendships with amazing women because of that. So that's very rewarding.
So beautiful. That's such an amazing journey that you've been on. I don't think I knew all the intricacies and the details of that story, but that is absolutely gorgeous. I love it.
That's what I love. I just, for me, it's not about the money and it's not about, growing financially. It's more about just spreading the word to other women and getting other women to experience it. Because every time I wear a piece, and funnily enough, I'm not wearing anything now because I'm in the studio. I just noticed it.
I've got it on for you.
Every time I wear a piece, I get compliments and I get comments, and a lot of men actually comment because it's so different. And it always starts conversation, and it starts a conversation on a very different level. It starts a conversation with people that are interested in art and design and love knowing about the maker and the materials and everything else. And it's a really nice sort of ongoing conversation.
I love it. So I have one more question for you before we finish up. And this is a question that I do love asking business owners. And it's a little bit of my obsession that when I work with business owners, I very first and foremost get them to tell me about why they started the business and why did they actually get into this? What was the push or the pull? Sometimes it's people feel that real pull to go and do something different. Sometimes there's a gentle push along the way, but I'd love to know why you started the business.
Well, as I said, I've always made jewelry. I mean, I started really getting into the jewelry very seriously after I had kids because I was at home and, I was working in corporate before that. I was a graphic designer working in corporate. And once I had my baby and I was at home, it was a time for me to start exploring my creativity. And jewelry was, I studied jewelry, I studied sculpture, and I studied graphics, and sort of inSync brought everything together. And for me, it's about the connection. It's about connection on a creative level. I have to create. That's why I wake up every morning. The creativity and creation of new things is what keeps me going and just happy. Like if I don't do it, I feel really depressed. I need to create. And then connecting to other women that get it and really are excited by it and love wearing it and love the connection. Just that's what keeps me going, and that's what I love the most. Getting those 5-star reviews and those beautiful glowing reviews of loving the pieces and collecting the pieces is what keeps me going.
What sets your heart on fire. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing with me, and I hope everyone has enjoyed this little snippet. We are definitely going to ask lots more questions, but if anyone has any questions that they want to ask, pop them in the comments or send a direct message, and we'll make sure we do a lot more digging in and a lot more fun over the coming weeks and months.
Thank you, Leah. That was wonderful.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.